Hello and welcome to another Bushwhacker review. As you can see in front of you, we've got another 1/64 scale review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the NASCAR Authentics Darlington Throwback Wave. This wave was initially a Walmart exclusive and proved to be quite hard for a bunch of people to find, including certain YouTube reviewers such as David Land. Now, for some reason, this compared to the Batman-Superman wave, for some reason they just barely got any of it, where the Batman-Superman cars, a lot of stores got like 3 restocks of, and now they're just piled up everywhere. They got like 1 display of this and then never any restocks. So a lot of people were left without these cars. Now, for some reason, this wave also showed up at Targets, like some scraps showed up at Targets like about a month ago. It was really weird. Nobody found a full case or anything. It was just like 3 or 4 cars out of the wave would just be popping up at Targets around the world. And they'd be different cars at each Targets. So nobody really knows what was going on there, but it did allow some people to get a few of the cars, which is definitely good. Now, I first found like a set of these cars at Walmart, but I never completed the wave the first time, and I didn't think I was going to either, but then Target just happened to find like the last 3 I needed at Target, so that was really useful. But before we get into this review, a couple things. I'm going to be starting to do some NASCAR Authentics reviews. Some people seem to want them. My reviews are going to be focused on the cars themselves. We're not going to go over all these little trinkety stuff that comes with the cars. We're not going to be going over every detail of each packaging. We're not going to be going over every little logo on each car either, because that would just take forever and nobody wants to see every little sponsor logo like I do with my 1/24 scale reviews. We'll usually take a look at the packaging quick. Like, here's one of the packaging. I've got this Kevin Harvick one sealed. Since this is kind of a, beer car at retail stores, I definitely wanted to keep one of these sealed. It's basically the regular packaging, except you got a red streak on the bottom to kind of go with the Darlington Throwback Wave. You see this one, it says adult collectible, doesn't have any wave designation. Kevin Harvick, all that good stuff. The back just says Darlington Raceway. For some reason, though, none pictures, renders, whatever of the wave. That's kind of a shame. This is definitely cool. Now, for Kevin Harvick fans, don't worry, we will still be taking a look at this car one way or another, which we'll get to that later. But let's get that out of the way and just get down to the cars themselves. Just jump right off the bat here. We'll start with one of my least favorite throwbacks, and that is Chase Elliott's Napa Auto Parts throwback. Now, this throwback was based on the Napa's delivery vans from the 1950s, which is definitely not really what I want to see, because this is just kind of, I want to see actual old race cars. I don't want to see this, like, fake throwback, random old thing, random just old logo with a paint scheme built around it. I want to see actual paint schemes, which most of them in this set are, but this is one of the couple that aren't. The black and the yellow look kind of nice together, but I've always hated Hendrick's stupid-ass A-post thing. It's clearly they're trying to get an advantage. That's clearly helping them. A lot of people think they like split the wrap there or something, and it's giving them an aero advantage, because you don't just do that stupidly and not be trying to innovate something. But, it does have the retro logo, Napa logo on the hood. That is a nice touch. These all do have the retro contingency sponsors and the retro Goodyear tires, so that's a nice touch too. There's the rookie stripes, 90 years strong. See, the rookie stripes are a little bit wonky on the back there. Not exactly straight. These Authentics have a lot more decal issues than some of the rear cars do, but it's not too bad at all. Does have the retro Mountain Dew logo too right there. That's a nice touch. Overall, like I said, it's not a terrible paint scheme, but just not really my cup of tea for throwbacks. There are very few not real race car throwbacks that I like. One of them is in a different wave, which we'll take a look at some point, but that's one of the few I do like. But this one doesn't really do much for me. I'm sure Chase Elliott fans liked it, and maybe fans of Napa liked it, but Napa has a ton of paint schemes they can choose from, so I really hope they actually do next time. Next up, we'll take a look at the other not real throwback of this wave, and that is Danica Patrick's Nature's Bakery 10 car. Now, this is just completely random. This has no way to do with anything. It's not an old car. It's not anything old with Nature's Bakery. I'm pretty sure they're a new company. This is just a sort of old-fashioned looking car. Has some, like, wheat or something, which just kind of give it kind of a muddy look, which looks kind of cool, but the colors aren't too bad either. The light blue with the white and the brown kind of makes for an interesting combination, but, this kind of did follow Kurt Busch's Monster Energy Haas throwback, too, like the same basic, design of it, but this is just really not good for a throwback. I mean, it's not sure what Nature's Bakery could have done, but they could have maybe gone with a paint scheme from an old 10 car or something better than this, but oh well. And now, obviously Nature's Bakery is having a few little issues in NASCAR. You see, the funny thing about this is it has those like curly cues in the blue, kind of like the 2017 car was supposed to have. Had a lot of those little curly Q, hidden design, ghosted design, whatever you want to call it. Does again have all the retro stuff. So like I said, again, not too bad of a paint scheme, but just really not good for a throwback, and it's definitely a shame. See, this front tire is a little bit messed up on the decaling. The Goodyear's like over the edge, and the Eagle's like in the curve. This is one of the ones I found at Target. Didn't get initially at Walmart. But now let's get into the real throwbacks. We'll start off with David Land's favorite car. That is Trevor Bayne's Advocare throwback that is based on the old Mark Martin Valvoline cars. This is the second year in a row that Advocare's done a Valvoline paint scheme. They did the, I think it was like 1999, 2000-ish paint scheme. The last year, it was the one with all the little V's on it, but they changed it to A's for Advocare. That was a nice touch. This is definitely one of my paint schemes I like a little better. I like this kind of simple dark blue, red, light blue, and white paint scheme a lot better than the one with the like V's and stuff, but they did a fantastic job. I've always not been as much of a fan of sponsors that, you know, copy an old paint scheme. It's not one of their old paint schemes, but occasionally they work like this one does, because Advocare's colors kind of work with this car, so that's definitely a nice touch there. This is on the new Ford Fusion mold. Well, it's not really new anymore, but it was new. This was actually one of the few first Fords I think we got in the NASCAR Authentics line of the new mold. It's always annoyed me how there's not a, you see this, like, piece in the middle of the tail lights is actually chrome on the real car, and it kind of goes, there's like a bar in between of chrome. It's always annoyed me that they didn't put a decal there for the diecast or the NASCARs themselves, because I think it would look a lot better. This is definitely a very nice looking throwback. I've always been almost tempted to get a 124 of this a few times. And, like I said, this has been a favorite for a few people, including David Land. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at Denny Hamlin's Sport Clips throwback. This was based on Darrell Waltrip's Budweiser 11 from the mid-'80s, I believe, or was it early 80s? This is definitely a lot better than their throwback in 2015, because their throwback in 2015 was a Cal Yarborough 11 car, but it was like they chose the design of it, but then put it in sports clip colors, which is something I really don't like. Either go all the way with the throwback or don't. The design of a throwback with your current colors just does not do anything for me. Interesting enough to know in this car, too, is that for some reason they forgot the Eagle on the Goodyear tires. Last year it just said Goodyear. This year it said Goodyear and Eagle, but they kind of forgot to put the Eagle on the Hamlin car for some reason. Every other single Darlington throwback from 2016 has the Eagle on them. Even like the first one that got released in the normal line is Dale Jr.'s, and it does have it. So not quite sure what Lionel was doing there. This paint scheme really just doesn't do much for me, because it really just doesn't... It works with the colors, but this just doesn't look special. Like, this is the kind of paint scheme that lasted multiple times on and off with a few different teams and stuff, so it really just doesn't be like, oh wow, I'm so glad to see that amazing car back. This is just a paint scheme that was seen multiple times. Hell, there was a car in the Xfinity series that used this basically the same paint scheme, but I think it had black on the bottom instead of the blue, which was, I think, the Neil Bonnet Hogden car or whatever. But this works with the colors, and they did pretty well recreating the paint scheme, so you can't complain too much. And Denny Hamlin's car in 2015 did get DNP'd, so it's kind of nice to get one. But I've always hated these sports clip cars using the black FedEx on the back. It's like FedEx is just too picky that their logo needs to be in black or something, but they used to have white cars, so why can't they use that? Whatever. Pretty nice, but nothing too special. Next up, we'll take a look at Regan Smith's Road Rippers Nico throwback. Now, this is obviously a throwback to the number 7 Hooters car of Alan Kwiecki. One of 2 throwbacks to that paint scheme in this race. That was really kind of funny, because Regan Smith and Tommy Baldwin Racing revealed this paint scheme, like, oh, they're going to do Hooters car. And then, like, closer to the actual race, Greg Biffle came out and was like, yeah, well, I'm going to do it better, with actually Hooters on the car. Now, that car's not getting made in 164, it's only getting made in 124. I do have that on pre-order, and I will definitely review that when it comes out. This car actually got DNP'd in 124 scale, which was definitely a shame, but would have been cool to have a set of them. But this one was only made 164 scale. I'm glad it was made in some way, shape, or form. The funny thing that actually changed was the original reveal of this car actually had like the typical Tommy Baldwin standard 7 for that year, where this one they actually did update to the Alan Kwiecki 7 by the time the race came around. That was a nice touch. So it's actually the only Regan Smith car we got this year. We didn't get a standard 7 car this year. We only got this throwback. The original paint scheme was kind of cool too. I kind of wish it did get made, but it didn't even get offered. I always liked this 1-1 scale on the back of the Nico cars. That's kind of a funny touch, because Nico makes RC cars and all that good stuff. I've never been a fan of, like, the upside-down logos like this. Like, they kind of go for, I guess, if you're in the stand, you'll see it as it drives by, but I don't know. I just always like them to be, you know, this direction. It's a very nice car. This car would have been awesome, but like I said, Greg Biffles just kind of blew it out of the water. It actually had hooters. It was on a Ford, said Underbird, all that good stuff. So this one just kind of got shafted in the back. It's definitely a shame. But another very nice throwback, and it was nice to get another small team in the NASCAR Authentics line. Now let's take a look at probably a very strange, lazy throwback. And here you have the RCR throwbacks right here. Both based on the Ricky Rudd Piedmont car from the early 80s, in which RCR got their first Cup win. Now this one does it perfectly. I have no problem with this one. But let's get on to this one. They just copied the paint scheme and put it in Caterpillar colors. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like when they do this at all. You're Caterpillar, you have tons of paint schemes to choose from. You don't need to be ripping off other paint schemes, especially the same paint scheme. Like, really? Use an old Ward Burton car. Hell, somebody did use an old Ward Burton car in 2015. We've had 2 years of a Caterpillar throwback that wasn't as good as some other team's throwback of a Caterpillar car. Just, come on, Caterpillar, you can do better than this. The colors on this one are kind of nice. The white with the yellow and black do make for a good combination, but just don't do this, Caterpillar. Use a real paint scheme this year, please. One of your own. Just have the retro Caterpillar C on the hood. And just have an old Granger logo right there. But, like I said, this is just lazy. Don't use the same paint scheme as a teammate in the same race. So, I don't know. That's just not my cup of tea at all, but whatever. Now, for the better one, we have Austin Dillon's American Ethanol throwback. They actually put the American Ethanol logos in the kind of font of the Piedmont Airlines. So that's a nice touch. This one is the correct colors, correct number font, correct team, everything. It's only missing the sponsor. I don't think Piedmont still exists. I don't know if they do. I definitely do like that trend of like old sponsors popping in to these cars to make these paint schemes. So you have Hooters, you came back, you had Tide, Mellow Yellow. I hope we get more of that this year. But this is a pretty nice looking throwback. Austin Dillon's throwback was also DNP'd in 2015, but actually did get out in the NASCAR Authentics line, which we'll probably be taking a look at. But I love when they actually put DNP cars in the Authentics line. There's actually going to be a few more Darlington throwbacks coming in the Authentics line that are DNPs. We got Ryan Reeds, we got Casey Canes. Hopefully we get like Landon Castles or A.G. Allmendingers or something. A couple of the other ones that got DNP'd. So, pretty nice. And we just finished off the RCR cars with Paul Menard's Valvoline Menards throwback, which was a throwback to Al Unser Jr.'s sort of DNQ car for the 1993 Daytona 500. He actually didn't race this car, which is kind of hilarious. He wrecked in the duels, I believe, and he had a Kodiak colored paint scheme car with just Valvoline logo slapped on it in the real race. So that's kind of funny. This is another car that was DNP'd in 124 scale, but was still made in 164 scale this year in the regular series. None of these cars in this wave are DNPs or anything. These are just kind of the few that they actually had early and got done early enough they could have ready for the Darlington Throwback Weekend. So that's what this was supposed to be released around the Darlington Throwback Weekend. You know, going to Walmart, get the Darlington cars, all that good stuff. This looks a lot better than the regular Menards Valvoline car they had this year, because that bright white with the neon Menards yellow just didn't really look very good as far as I'm concerned. This is the best looking Menards car because they didn't force the Menards yellow into a car. I like the Menards yellow, but it has to work. You can't. I don't like that they just like throw whatever sponsor they have on the hood's color with the yellow, because a lot of times they don't mix. This one has a ton of sponsors on the back, as you can see. This is a very nice throwback. They also had this released as a promo. You could get it with a jug of Valvoline oil at Menards stores. It was actually in the crappy mold, so it wasn't as good as this one is, but I do love the metallic silver on the hood. This one would look nice as a 124 scale, so it's a shame it didn't get made. Next up, we'll take a look at Casey Mears' Geico throwback. Now, this one was based on the old Smokey Unic cars. The black and the gold were kind of his staple. He even says Smokey's best damn garage in town. Surprised they could put that on the 164. That seems like one of those things like, oh no, he swore. But I guess luckily nobody's that uptight about diecast. Though then again, we have Kellogg's cars on bases, so who knows? This looks very, very nice. The metallic gold with the black just looks incredible, especially with the red highlights. Now this is one thing I didn't like that a couple teams did this year, where they tried to kind of recreate the old cars, like bumper, the chrome bumper of like the classic Chevelles and stuff, with like a decal. It's a nice attempt, but I don't really like it at all. It just doesn't work. I would rather they kind of try to highlight like pieces of this car in like chrome, not try to like decal up some old chrome, but I don't know. The rest of the car looks nice enough that you kind of don't have to look at that. So this is another car that I've been close to getting in 1/24 scale a few times. Looks very, very nice. Next up, we've got Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s number 88 Nationwide Insurance Throwback. Now, if you really want a view of this one, I actually did get the 1/24 of this one, and I did a double review with this and the Buddy Baker Gray Ghost. So you can go check that out if you really want every logo and everything. This is definitely one of my, not really favorites, but definitely a very nice looking throwback. Since I did have the original car and I do love the Gray Ghost, it was kind of cool to see it back with Jeff Gordon. And they did a fantastic job on this car. But like I said, this is the first retro throwback diecast out, and it did have Goodyear Eagle on the tires, did all the updated contingencies and all that, so not sure why Hamlin's didn't. So, very nice. Next up, we're going to take a look at Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s Fastenal throwback. This is a throwback to the Terminal Transport 17 car that Darrell Waltrip got his first win, I believe, in. And they did a decent job recreating this paint scheme, but this just didn't really do anything for me. This is just not really like a fun paint scheme. Like, this isn't just a paint scheme a lot of people are like, oh, I remember that car, I love that car, I'm so glad to see it back. This is just kind of like a white and orange, just generic looking old car. Doesn't really fit Fastenal's colors at all, which is even funnier. I definitely like this 2015 throwback better, which is a throwback to the David Pearson blue and gold cars. I think I have reviewed that, so check that out if you want to see that car. But I definitely like that a lot better than this car. But they did a decent job of recreating it, as a retro Zest logo on the back there too. Which sadly Zest left the sport. That's really a shame. I've loved the Zest paint schemes. But not a bad throwback, but nothing too special. Next up, we'll take a look at Eric Almirola's STP 43. Of course, a throwback to an old Richard Petty STP car. I believe this was 1979, I think they said it was. This just looks fantastic. Now, the real car had a, like, something here. It was, like, I think it was one of the Foundations or Victory Junction or whatever, but they had a logo right there on the quarter panel that wasn't on the diecast. Which is kind of strange that they, like, changed. That's the second in a row they changed some stuff after they gave Lionel the artwork. The rear car also had a blue spoiler, and the orange stripes actually wrapped up around the spoiler, which would have been cool to see on the diecast, but again, they changed that late for some reason. But the STP colors always look great. The Petty blue with the bright orange red just looks fantastic. The rear cars always look a little bit brighter than the diecast do, which is a little bit of a shame, but it captures it pretty well. And this is definitely another good throwback. I really hope STP stays on for these throwback weekends, though. I'd love to get something special. Like, get a random non-43 Petty car. Like, not one of these well-known paint schemes. Choose, like, one of those random old STP cars, because that would look really cool. Because at this point, we've gotten tons of the STP throwbacks for Petty, so, you know. Now the final two, a couple of Joe Gibbs Racing Camrys. Here we've got Carl Edwards Eris throwback, which is a throwback to the original Tony Stewart Home Depot paint scheme. They actually, again, made the kind of logos look like the Home Depot's font, so that's a nice touch. This is another one of my close to being favorite throwbacks. This is just a fantastic looking car. Really, I don't think any of my true favorites are in this set. Are they? I don't know. Because Logano's isn't in this set, McMurray's isn't in this set, Tony Stewart's isn't in this set, Biffle's isn't in this set, and those are pretty much my favorites, so. But these next two are definitely awesome looking throwbacks. Joe Gibbs Racing really stepped up their game this year after, in 2015, doing nothing for the throwback weekend. They just had Hamlin's weird throwback and then the regular paint schemes, and that was very disappointing. That was kind of disgusting that they would just like be like, screw it, we don't want a throwback. But luckily they stepped up their game this year. You had the cool Tide car with Matt Kenseth, this car, that car. We've taken a look at 3 of the Joe Gibbs Racing cars in this review. This is another one I'm probably going to get the 124 at some point, just because I do have the original Tony Stewart rookie car, so if I ever do, you'll see a review of that one. But a very, very nice looking throwback for Carl Edwards. And this is kind of probably one of the last few Carl Edwards cars we're going to get in that Authentics line, since he just up and left. Hopefully you get some new Daniel Suarez rookie cars this year. And last but not least, we have Kyle Busch's Interstate Batteries throwback. Definitely one of the best looking throwbacks. This had the right team, the right number, the right sponsor, everything. This is throwing it back to the original Interstate Batteries 18 car with that Dale Jarrett won the Daytona 500 with. And it looked fantastic to see it back. They even added the little Joe Gibbs Racing 25 years logos in the upper corners to kind of go with the NFL logos that was on the real car. Would have almost preferred they kind of centered those onto the hood flaps, but that probably would have been inaccurate, so who knows. They did a fantastic job of recreating this paint scheme. The bright green with the black, white, and red just looks fantastic. This does have NOS on it, you see. They kind of go back and forth whether or not to put the energy drinks on these cars. Like, they take them off of some cars, and then other cars they have them on, so I really don't know what they're doing anymore. But this is definitely one of my favorite throwbacks. You know, it is up there. I've been close to getting the 124 scale this one, too, because I just love ones that are the real paint scheme and sponsor and everything. So this is another one, if you see a 124, you actually do see, I will review it if I ever get one. But this is definitely looking nice. And that finishes up for the Darlington throwbacks. Let's get them back out here. Trying them out by team. Oh wait, we forgot one throwback. And that's Kevin Harvick's Busch Beer throwback. Now here is the Gold Series version of it. As you saw, I kept the regular one sealed because it was just kind of cool to get a beer car. But to keep the Harvick fans with something to look at, here's the Gold Series. It is the exact same car. You see this one's got some errors on it. You see it's got all weird around the splitter. You see you got a Sunoco logo on the 4 for some reason. This is the throwback to Cale Yarborough's Busch Beer car, and it looked fantastic. I did buy a 124 scale this one and have reviewed it. This is definitely one of my favorites this year. That's why I kind of almost forgot it wasn't this wave, because I, didn't have the Authentics of this one ready. I did take this off the base. It was on a base. But this is probably my 5th favorite throwback this year, so. It does have the retro Jimmy John's logo, too, which is a nice touch. It's a nice paint scheme. Like I said, I really like this one. I got a 124 and everything, so it's nice to see it. And it was really nice to see a beer car in the Authentics line. Hopefully we get more, but who knows. So now we are done, and now we can go back to the cars. Let's just get them back in there. There's the Joe Gibbs Racing stable. Now we'll get into some of the Roush Racing cars. Get the RCR cars in here. A couple of the good old Hendrick boys. And the rest of the cars are basically just some random single team cars or whatever. Or the ones that only have one car on this wave. And that's pretty much all to say. It's a fantastic wave. I love the Darlington throwbacks. I've been getting as many as I can of these cars because I just love throwback cars. And it's cool just to have like an entire set of them like this. Lionel's been really doing a good job trying to create the whole series. Like they said, they've been giving us even DNP cars that they had offered, which I hope they continue. Because I would love to have like as many of these as possible, because it makes for a cool set, maybe a cool display, who knows. Like I said, if you want this set, it was not easy to get. Even YouTubers like David Land couldn't get it. They were at Walmart and for some reason a few Targets, but you probably have to go on eBay or flea markets or whatever to get these cars. Or if you really want a paint scheme, just go with the Gold Series. It's probably cheaper than trying to get the Authentics versions of these. Which is rare to say, because, normally the Authentics go for $5 and the Gold Series goes for like $9, but whatever. This is the first Authentics review from me. That'll probably be a few reviews. Obviously, if you really want NASCAR Authentics reviews, you should go check out David Land. He's done a bunch of them, except for this wave, because he couldn't find it. But I'm glad I was able to find this whole wave and do a review on it. But I think it's changed all to say. This has been a review of the NASCAR Authentics Darlington Throwback Wave. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.